We've all seen imagery that really just shocks and surprises us, and I think the best thing to do is to take that temperature down a bit.
White House Press Secretary Robert Gibbs answering one of the many questions raised by the mob rule shutting down healthcare town hall meetings in many parts of the country this week. Single most worrying thing about what Mr. Gibbs just said right there, his use of the word surprises. Were Democrats and others in favor of health care reform caught flat-footed by what's happened this week? Now that they've seen what they are up against, reform advocates do seem to be belatedly joining the fight. The pro-reform organization Healthcare for America Now has put out a new playbook for thwarting town hall protesters. They're advising health care reform advocates to contact members of Congress and let them know you are coming, to bring more people and arrive earlier than the other side, to be more visible with signs and leaflets in locations where TV cameras can see it, to have a plan for the media and speak with the reporters, to interrupt protesters who get disruptive with prepared statements like, "Excuse me, I came today to listen to Representative X explain how this bill is going to make healthcare more affordable for me." Good luck with that one. And they also suggest don't get in a shouting match with the protesters. Now, to supplement these 6 habits of highly successful healthcare reform advocates, the Democratic National Committee has launched its own clumsily named website, setting the record straight on the special interest attack on health insurance reform, which exposes the groups behind the lies that are being spread about health reform right now. The Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee has also set up a website to fact-check and debunk healthcare myths. Healthcare myths like grassroots protesters are disrupting those town halls, or the government will encourage euthanasia, or private healthcare plans will be outlawed. There's no word yet on if they feel the need to debunk the healthcare reform will mandate sex change operations myth. I suppose it's only a matter of time for that one. August is young. Joining us now is Democratic New York Congressman Anthony Weiner, who had his own healthcare town hall at a senior center yesterday, apparently minus the right-wing drama. Congressman, it's nice to see you. Thanks for being here.
It's my pleasure. Thanks.
I understand it was Pepper Steak Day, and that's part of the reason it went well yesterday?
Well, actually, we chose it at the Forest Hills Jewish Center Senior Center because it was Pepper Steak Day. We thought we'd get a good crowd. But,
how did it go?
It was actually fine. You know, it shows you a little bit what's different between the left and the right. You know, we have this notion that if we talk about issues and we discuss the challenges, we can reach conclusions. The other side just literally is yelling no. They do it on the floor of Congress, and now they're doing it around town. But for the most part, you know, people have legitimate questions. These are tough issues, and I feel very strongly, for example, I said on your show, in a single-payer plan like Medicare for everyone. Yet still there were seniors there who were standing up saying, I want you to leave your hands off my plan and don't touch it, and by the way, I don't want the government involved. And, you know, I had to remind them that Medicare, like 40%.
I don't want government involved in my Medicare?
Yeah, well, a lot of them were reading and hearing some of the things they hear on angry, shouting radio shows, and they were parroting them back. But frankly, I don't mind a good give and take at a town hall meeting. Frankly, town hall meetings, I always tell my audiences and always tell my staff, you know, I want people to hear what their neighbors are thinking as well. And we basically had that the other day. You know, there was almost, you know, you read about this in the New York Post, so by nature you can't believe what you read. They were genuinely crushed that there wasn't more angry shouting, but people do have questions.
Well, you know, people have questions, people have disagreements, people sometimes have very sharp disagreements, and there are often in American politics and in all politics myths about what's actually being proposed and what's not. That all seems normal. What doesn't seem normal to me is the effort to stop the debate. Not to make one side of the debate loud or to make one side of the debate dominant, but rather to stop the debate from happening. And the reason I wanted to talk to you about that is I feel like you're a strategic thinker on policy issues like this, particularly on healthcare. What's the advantage to the other side of just stopping the ability to talk about it?
Well, you know, inertia is a very powerful force in Washington. Change is very difficult when you're dealing with institutions like the insurance lobby and their wholly owned subsidiary, the Republican Party. So it's always easier to stand in the way of doing something than it is to try to do something. So I think the Republicans have made the analysis that if we can just stop the governing party, the Democrats, from getting anything done, then we'll be okay. The problem is we're paying more taxes because they're going to the insurance companies. We're running higher debts and deficits because of the high cost of health care. So all the things they claim to be against, we're trying to solve here. So sooner or later, those two conflicting views are going to come into sharp focus. But I think the American people are in the the position, most of them, they want to solve problems. And I think ultimately Democrats will be rewarded. But this is tough sledding in large part because the Republicans and the conservative right have a much easier job. They literally just have to stand in front of us and yell at the top of their lungs, and they will have succeeded with their day's event. And that's going to be difficult for us.
Very briefly, we're sort of out of time, but do you think that this is something that can constructively be fought shouter to shouter? Should there be people turning up at these meetings that they know are going to be contentious on the other side?
Look, I think having a good debate benefits people like me who have an idea that we want to get out, like the need to extend Medicare to everyone, a single-payer system. Yeah. I think President Obama's plan needs a little bit explaining. The only way to do it is the old Democratic way. I just don't think that we can be shouted down. But, listen, we can shout too if we have to. I just don't think it's a very constructive way to have a debate.
Congressman Anthony Weiner of New York, thanks very much for being here on your
My
Friday
pleasure.
night. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.